welcome everyone to Canadian Yorker and the next live stream. And we are back and talking about the New York Knicks versus Indiana Pacers, Game 1 for the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm just coming back and reporting on the recent news that happened that broke out. And I just want to let everyone know that the New York Knicks suffered a loss in New York at the Madison Square Garden to the Indiana Pacers last night. In case anyone wasn't aware, the Indiana Pacers pulled off an upset against the New York Knicks and beat the New York Knicks, and it was an overtime, 138 to 135. And I gotta say, I am surprised to hear the news. The reason why that is because of the shocking news that came out about it. So we're gonna read a couple of articles on this, and I have pinned two links to two different articles, one from Yahoo Sports and the other one from Fox News, covering what's going on. And both these articles were written on May 22nd, 2025. So that is today. So let's get into it. It says the New York Knicks and Indiana Pacers reached the Eastern Conference Finals by virtue of a record number of ridiculous comebacks that brought out in Game 1. On Wednesday, it was the Knicks yielding a late double-digit lead to a furious Pacers surge, then following 138 to 135 in overtime to complete one of the most stunning games of an NBA playoffs that had already set a high mark for drama. So, in this game, the Pacers won 138 to 130. The Knicks had 135. Indiana scored 38 points in overtime. The Knicks had 35 points in overtime in the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. The Knicks had 35 points in the fourth quarter, and the Pacers had 38. In overtime, the Pacers scored 13 points, and the Knicks scored 10. So all in all, it was just a back and forth affair throughout from the very start of the game until the end. So let's continue here. New York led by as many as 17 points in the fourth quarter, and by 14 points with 2 minutes and 45 seconds remaining. Teams were emphasis on past tense, won 994 and 0, and leading by at least 14 points with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. And now they're 994 and 1. And it shouldn't be a surprise because the Pacers were involved after posting some of the wildest comebacks in recent history against both the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers since 1997. So there we have it. So that looking at the Indiana Pacers tweet, continuing the article, it says here, the game came down to one final possession for the Pacers, down 2 points with 7.3 seconds left. The ball naturally reached the hands of Tyrese Halliburton, who attempted to continue his run of heartbreakers. With a buzzer-beating three-pointer. For a moment, it looked like the ball had clanged away before falling back into the net. For a moment, the game looked over. Then the replay showed Halliburton's foot was on the three-point line, and the game went to overtime. All told, the Pacers scored 23 points in the final 3 minutes and 14 seconds of regulations. Most any team has scored in such a stretch in NBA playoff history, according to Tim Reynolds of the Associated Press. Tyrese Halliburton had something special prepared for the moment after the shot, pulling out the Reggie Miller choke sign against the Knicks, with the Pacers legend himself calling the game for TNT, not really realizing his team had 5 more minutes left to play. Fortunately for Halliburton, the Pacers pulled it out in a back-and-forth overtime that hinged on a challenge that took away the Knicks' last real chance to retake the lead. Halliburton finished the game with 31 points and 12 of 13 shooting, 11 assists and 4 rebounds. If I knew it was 2, I would not have done it, Halliburton said. I might have wasted it. Game 2 is scheduled for Friday at 8 p.m. in New York, of course, at the Madison Square Garden. So, the Aaron Nesmith game. So Tyrese Halliburton might have had the big shot, but Aaron Nesmith was responsible for seemingly every other huge swing for the Pacers in the final minutes. Nesmith had 10 points with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He finished the game with 30. He made 6 3-pointers in the final 5 minutes of regulation. The first player in NBA history to make 6 threes in the fourth quarter of a playoff game and pulled the Pacers into a game that should have already been over. He had some help from a Knicks defender that needed a while to realize what he was doing. Nesmith went scoreless in overtime, but we would be talking about an impressive Knicks win without him. Continuing here, Jim Irsay's final tweet presaged a miracle. Not long after the game started, the Pacers posted a tribute to Indianapolis coach Jim Irsay, who died Wednesday at the age of 65. Irsay's final post on social media was a well-wish to the Pacers right before they posted one of the most incredible comebacks in NBA history. Of course, we could see the tweet right there. Continuing here, what can the Knicks take from this? Say this for the Knicks. They looked like the team, like the clearly better team outside of the first 4 and last 4 minutes of regulation. In the early minutes, the Pacers got what they wanted early, making their first 9 shots from the field and pushing the pace of play to a level the Knicks really reached. The two teams combined for 131 points in the first half, but it was the Knicks leading by 7. New York's offense proved able to keep up with Indiana thanks to 30-point games from both Jalen Brunson, who had 43 points, and Karl Anthony Towns, who had 35 points and 12 assists. Even though so many of their wins have featured an offense that runs almost exclusively through Jalen Brunson, it was only when their star point guard picked up his 5th foul that they took a lead that looked impossible to relinquish. Towns and OG Anunoby scored every field goal of a 14-0 run that turned a 94-92 nail biter into a 108-92 runaway lead, with Jalen Brunson on the bench for all but one of the buckets. It should have been enough. Instead, it was just the launch pad for Halliburton and Nesmith to enter the fans' nightmares. So there we have it on this first article here. I'm going to read the second article as well, and then I'll give my thoughts on the game. So, in this article from FoxNews.com, that was also written on March 22nd, 2025, it's mentioned here that, so it says here, Knicks choke double-digit lead late after Pacers pull off Reggie Miller-esque heroics. So continuing here from Fox News, it says, with Reggie Miller on the call, the Indiana Pacers paid homage. Excuse me. The Indiana Pacers paid homage to their franchise legend on Wednesday night. Excuse me. Allergies. It's just that time of year. Sorry, I'm going through the motions with the allergy season, happening. Apologies for that. Just waiting to see if my nose will stop giving me allergy problems. Okay, let's continue. So, with Reggie Miller on the call, the Indiana Pacers paid homage to their franchise legend on Wednesday night. Well, it wasn't a direct homage, but the New York Knicks, in their first Eastern Conference Finals game of the 21st century, blew a double-digit fourth-quarter lead to drop Game 1 against Indiana, 138-135. We know that. New York led by as many as 17 with just over 6 minutes to go, and even by 14 with less than 3. It was a mess for the Pacers. Aaron Nesmith did his best Reggie Miller impression by drilling 6 consecutive 3-pointers to help Indiana cut their deficit to just 2 points with 22.1 seconds to go. After the Knicks on 2 occasions went 2 for 1 from the line, Tyrese Halliburton hit a buzzer beater that he thought was a 3 and did Reggie Miller's infamous choke signal while pointing at him. But Halliburton's toe was on the line. The game headed to overtime. New York got out to a 4-point lead to start overtime, but a 5-0 Pacers run gave them their first lead since it was 45-44 in the second quarter. Neither team got out to more than a 1-point lead for the next 2+ minutes until former Knicks forward Obi Toppin slammed one home with 15.3 seconds left to go up 3. The Knicks missed 2 game-tying threes and the Pacers stole the victory. Teams leading a playoff game by 9+ points in the final minute of the fourth quarter or overtime of a playoff game had been 1,414-0 since 1998, entering Wednesday. Also, since 1997, teams are now 4-1, 1,640 when trailing by 7+ points in the final minute of the fourth quarter or overtime of a game. The Pacers have won 3 of those games this season alone. The Pacers have been putting in the work. Let's face it, they are the dark horse of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. They are the dark horse of this year's playoffs. Let's continue the article. Unfortunately for the Knicks, it was a taste of their own medicine. They had completed comebacks of 20, 20, and 14 points against the Boston Celtics to win their second round series. Halliburton and Aaron Nesmith had 31 and 30 points respectively. 20 of Nesmith's came in that epic fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson led the way with 43 points, while Karl Anthony Towns had 35 plus 12 rebounds, but neither hit their game-tying three-pointers in the final seconds. This series is a rematch of the second round last year. This Indiana won in 7 games against an injury-riddled Knicks squad, but it's also who had the Knicks faced in both the 1999 and 2000 Eastern Conference Finals. The teams split both of their series. In fact, the Knicks and Pacers faced each other 4 times in the playoffs before the 1990s, with both teams winning a pair. Both of New York's wins sent them to the NBA Finals. Now the rivalry is hotter than ever. Game 2 is Friday night in Madison Square Garden, and if there's any saving grace for the Knicks, they would wind up winning the series where Reggie Miller hit them with his choke signal. So there we have it, guys. The New York Knicks choked away this game 1 against the Indiana Pacers. I'm honestly surprised that this happened because I was working last night. I was really busy at work. I was working, just doing my job. And I happened to check the game, just to do a little snippet, checking the game. I saw 5 minutes into the fourth quarter yesterday. I was looking at the stats. I couldn't really watch the game because I was working, but I happened to look at the stats. And when I looked at the stats in the 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, it was 89. The Pacers had 88. The Knicks had 100 or 90 or 100 or something points. They were up pretty big in the fourth quarter. 5 minutes in the fourth quarter. I'm thinking that the Knicks are probably going to lock this down. They're going to win this. They're going to take game 1. That's probably what's going to happen. The Pacers, they're 5 minutes into the game. The Knicks are probably going to extend their lead. They're going to just blow them out the water in game 1. So I'm going to find out that I didn't know that. I just shut my phone off at that moment. I didn't know, and nobody knew that they expected the Pacers to come back and to win the game in overtime, to have a crazy, Tyrese Halliburton's he thought he was taking the 3-pointer in the fourth quarter, but ended up he really took 2 points and not 3 points in the fourth quarter, but he still took it, made the shot, tied the game, sent them into overtime. That saved them. That saved their franchise. Honestly, the Pacers, the Knicks officially have their hands full with facing the Pacers, and like I said in my last live stream, this series can go to 7 games. It's probably still going to go to 7 games because the Pacers the Knicks' eternal rival, and they're gonna give them a run for their money. Um, Obviously, it's definitely important for the Knicks to win Game 2. They have to win Game 2. If they don't, they go down 2-0. The Pacers are gonna blow them out the water. It's not gonna be a good look for the Knicks because they're gonna have to be fighting back to get themselves back into this series, and not gonna be a really good sign for the Knicks. So they cannot they cannot have this happen again. What happened in Game 1 is absolutely unacceptable for to ever happen. They should never have taken their foot off the brakes. They should never have took their eyes off of the goal. Have stayed the course. They gotta stay the course. They gotta stay focused. You haven't won the NBA championship, so don't act like you just won the NBA championship because you beat the Boston Celtics in the previous round. It obviously doesn't make any sense. They need to stay focused in this matter, and now this gives the Pacers the confidence they need to actually go into the Garden and beat the Knicks again. And if they beat the Knicks again, then they can go back home. They can go back home to Indiana and win the next 2 games in Indiana and go on to the NBA Finals. That's definitely going to happen for the Pacers. But the Knicks, you know, you gotta be a little humble now. You gotta be a little humble. You can't be thinking you're all that, because obviously the Pacers just handed the Knicks a reality check. Let them know they are not all that, and they need to check themselves. You got to play smart. You got to play humble. Don't be coming out talking all kinds of stuff until you've won the championship. You got to win the championship first. So they need to make sure of that. So man, I can't believe that the Knicks. And I'm a Raptors fan. I mean, both of these teams have former Raptors on them. Pascal Siakam is on the New York. Pascal Siakam is on the Indiana Pacers. OG Anunoby is on the New York Knicks. I mean, you can see Pascal Siakam right there in a Pacers uniform, playing for the Pacers, man. What can I say? It also comes down to coaching as well. Rick Carlisle, like I said, Rick Carlisle has that championship experience, and that has helped Rick Carlisle with the Pacers and getting them to this point. I mean, that just shows the experience right there. Rick Carlisle is definitely showing his coaching experience and expertise against Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau needs to start playing smarter and not be, he needs to start making up ways how he can outcoach Rick Carlisle, because let's face it, Rick Carlisle is not only a championship coach, but Rick Carlisle has won an NBA championship before as a player, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, let's not forget that. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau has ever won an NBA championship, but I know Rick Carlisle has won an NBA championship in the past. He was on some championship teams, and he has won an NBA championship with the Dallas Mavericks. Okay? Rick Carlisle knows what it means to win an NBA championship. So, Rick Carlisle already has the experience. Tom Thibodeau needs to find a way to get himself over the hump, obviously. Obviously the Pacers do have the championship coaching experience. The Knicks don't have that edge, but the Pacers do. And Rick Carlisle is doing what he needs to do to help the Pacers get the win and move on to the NBA Finals. The Knicks definitely have to figure a way how they can limit this from happening, and just to stop themselves from collapsing in the fourth quarter. This can't happen again, obviously. So that's a lot to be said. That there's much that remains to be seen in Game 2. We're gonna have to see what's gonna happen, guys. What can I say? May the best team win. We're gonna have to see what's gonna happen going forward. I know the Knicks are gonna come out. They're gonna definitely come out and make a statement, win. We're not gonna back down from the Pacers, and they're not gonna let the Pacers take Game 2. That can't happen. If the Pacers take Game 2, this series is pretty much guaranteed over, because it's going into definitely going into Indiana. It's going to be a hard test for the Knicks, and you can't have that going into game 2, game 3 in Indiana. That can't happen. So I'm keeping this live stream short. I'm just reporting on the news and the Knicks losing to the Pacers in overtime, shockingly. I just wanted to give this information to you guys out there, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Check out the news of what is going on. I mean, this is kind of surprising. I thought when I checked my phone last night, I saw that the Knicks were up. What was it? I thought they had a 20 point lead. I thought, oh, the game's pretty much done. It's 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. The game's pretty much over. But it turns out the Pacers pulled the rug out from under the Knicks' feet, and they got the win against the Knicks. Boom, Pacers win. So that's just NBA playoffs. Definitely adjustments have to be made, and coaches, coaching is crucial in the playoffs, man. Coaching is crucial. Not just the players, but coaches as well. And role players, and a lot. It's a lot that goes into this high pressure situation. There's a lot at stake here. So see what happens in the next live stream, in game 2. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. Memorial Day weekend is coming up. So enjoy the wonderful weekend and the day off, and happy Memorial Day to everybody out there. So I'll talk to you all later. Have a good day.